Okay, like I say, if you don't want your name, just X out the video. It's on the lower left side. But I want to share one neat trippy thing that is proving that the dimensions are getting thinner and thinner. And it was last Wednesday that I gave a class, an in-person class in Green Valley, and it was on Nikola Tesla. And it was on March 3rd, which is 3-3. And he is known for working with the numbers 3, 6, and 9, which he says are very powerful numbers. And so it was a great class. And that evening, in the middle of the night, I had to get up to use the restroom, and I got up and my bedroom clock said 333. And I think I've shared before with you, whenever I see those synchronicity numbers, I stop whatever I'm doing and I look and stare at the numbers and energetically focus my intention to connecting with the energy that they are trying to share with me. And so I connected with it for the full minute or, that it was up. And then I went on and I wound up going into the kitchen, and my kitchen clock said 333. So they were two different times. So I once again just tapped in, stopped, stared at the energy numbers to feel the energy. And then I felt Tesla, the spirit of Tesla, come into the room and felt him just as the most peaceful, loving energy. And it was absolutely wonderful. It was almost like a gratitude for doing the class. And that's the second time he's personally connected with me. So I just want to share that these experiences, the veils are getting thinner. And one of the students in the class can also testify of what she saw. Wanda?
Well, my husband and I went to the class and we just loved it. And Starwalker was in the front of the class, but she had an empty seat close to where she had the computer. And I saw his form there, and he was watching, and he had his hand on the chair, and he was like in a regal form, regal stature there. And then he sat down, and there was at one point that Starwalker started the video and he was still seated. So when he saw her coming around around the table and the computer, he got up so she could sit down. And it was kind of funny as I was wondering what was going to happen there. I seeing this happen. It's like, okay, is she going to sit on his lap? But he got up before she was able to sit down, and it was. Yeah, but he stayed there pretty much the whole time, and was watching it, nodding his head in a few points, and we could see that he was honored by that class that she was putting on. So it was a neat experience. It was really neat.
Yeah, I was so glad that Wanda shared that with me, because when I'm focusing on the class, I can't tune in as much because I have to work the logistics of the computer and the video and teaching mode. So that was really cool. But I'm just saying, we all have the ability now to shift into connecting with the spirits much easier. So that's sort of the point of that. So yeah, Pat, do you want to open sacred space now?
Well, I would like to invite all of our spiritual guides, saints, healers, angelic beings, and galactic friends to be present with us, and that only that which is for our highest good, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, occur today. We thank these beings for their presence, help, and protection. I also ask each of us to open our hearts and minds to be loving and accepting with no judgments.
Great. Thank you. Our topic today is on creating your own sacred portal, or maybe a better word, a crystal layout. And so before we get into that, does everybody have a chance to get some objects that they were wanting to make their layout with? If they did, great, we'll be using that. And if not, this will be an exercise where you'll know what to do when you do get them.
Okay.
So, like say, I hope you was able to get some objects, but we'll start with, I wound up making a video a couple months ago about how to do that. And so we'll go through that video first, and then we'll get into actual doing the creation. So. Welcome to this video on how to create a sacred altar portal as part of my Consciousness Awakening series by Starwalker. We'll start with some definitions. Sacred space is a dedicated, high vibration spiritual place which focuses your intention for desired ceremonial energies. And it is where the veils are thinner between the spiritual and physical worlds. It's where you can connect to higher spiritual energies and divine beings of light. A portal is a doorway, entrance, gateway, or opening which allows for a flow of energy. And the human body can be an energetic portal for higher dimensional energies because we are conduits between heaven and earth. The definition of personal altar. It is a designated space with high vibration ceremonial objects. It creates an energetic portal to help draw in spiritual energies. It is a space of dedicated spiritual respect and reverence. Some purposes of a personal altar are to create sacred space for meditation and as a sacred space for ceremonies, for connecting with spiritual beings of light, for energetic balancing, and for whatever you set your intent to manifest. So step 1, intention and location. Set a clear intent for the purpose of your personal altar, asking, what do you want to accomplish? Do you want a space for sacred ceremony? Or to create and maintain a high energetic sacred space? Or as a sacred meditation space? And really, it can be all of these, plus more. So choose a location where it can be kept sacred and dedicated to its purpose. Step 2, intuition and divine guidance. Use your intuitive guidance and divine spirit helpers such as angels, spirit guides, galactic beings, to help you choose the sacred objects, to choose the pattern layout, and to activate the altar portal. Step 3, sacred objects. Some examples of ceremonial objects can be crystals, candles, incense, sage, gemstones, flowers, and much more, whatever you intuit that the altar could use. And so choose your objects which supports your intention, purpose, or purposes of your personal altar. For each object has its own meaning and energetic potential that it adds to the altar. Crystalline structures of charged crystals helps to store your intention. Here's an example of a sacred power object called an angelic Merkaba. And it has many benefits for altars. such as it is a sacred geometry, ascension, awakening object. It clears and creates sacred space. It accelerates higher consciousness. It enhances the meditation experience. It amplifies the intention process, and it helps balance the human energy field. And the angelic Merkaba can be placed individually in altar layouts, or you can hang a spinning angelic Merkaba over the layout. And the picture shows an angelic Merkaba, and it's hung from a microphone boom stand, so it can be placed over a layout. And you can find out information of where to get these for your personal altar and information about the benefits at my website, wellness-energetics.com. Step 4, the altar layout. Use your intuition to know what altar pattern feels in resonance with your intention. You can use a crystal grid layout to create the desired energy. And if you do that, a crystal grid can be arranged in sacred geometry patterns, such as the 3 shown below in purple. And on the internet, there's a lot of free grid layout patterns you can get. And on the lower left, this is a sacred space altar layout that is an Egyptian focused layout. It's got Anubis, Thoth, and pyramids in it. Very high vibration. And on the lower right is gemstones placed over a flower of life layout. Step 5, activating the altar portal energies. Use your intuition and divine guidance to perform the ceremony activation. The purpose is to activate the sacred space with the highest spiritual energies. There are ways to activate the energies, such as just with your intention, with invocation or prayer, or to call in the spirit energies of the 6 sacred directions. And so you just use your intuition to follow whatever protocol you need to activate your altar portal. Step 6, maintenance. Routinely do ceremony to refresh the intention and sacred space energies. And if others participate in ceremony there, tell them to respect your sacred space, for others should not touch your sacred objects without your permission. And use your intuition to notice when you are asked by maybe spiritual guidance of when to add or subtract some of the sacred objects from the layout. It happens once in a while. It changes the energy frequency, and that's because the whole purpose and intent needs a little bit of enhancement. And so this can be done through changing out certain sacred objects. And you may also periodically change the intent or even the purpose of your sacred altar. And most importantly, develop a special spiritual and energetic connection with your special altar. So enjoy the energies of your sacred space altar, and blessings to you on your journey of ascension, consciousness awakening. Okay, that gives you the overview of that. Pat, would you like to add anything regarding the intention, location, calling in your guidance and intuition, the steps before we pick out our sacred objects?
I think it's helpful to have like if you're using some crystals, to have a center piece that kind of is like a focus. I like that for mine, where I have a centerpiece. In fact, I could probably show you what I've done. And I think it's nice to, you can also activate your crystals in different ways with sound. Could be singing, chanting. I have a tuning fork that I like to use as well. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Yeah, I have to figure out how to do this. No, can you guys see that at all? I don't know if you can see that very well. Let me go to speaker view. I don't know if this is speaker view. Okay, let me see. All right. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have a central stone, and then I put ones around it. And then I have, like, you know, a cloth that it's on that I like a lot, 2 things. Wanda made this with special intention, which I love. And so I use a tuning fork. And just kind of work with the energy with the, you know, to activate. So those are some things you can do to, I think, to activate and put your attention and purpose in. But I like a central stone usually, because I love crystals, you know, and then I put some other things like pyramid, things like that around it. And then the main thing is tinker with it. Once you put it down, really sit with it and then go, ooh, something needs to be moved slightly this way. And ask the stones if they want to be a part of this. Always ask your crystals for permission to be there and to be present, to be used in the layout. And also putting intention of harmonizing the crystals together. It's almost like a family. So doing however, those are just some things that I like to do.
Okay, Wanda, you were here when we set the, I think it was the Egyptian layout. Do you have anything you would like to share about that experience of setting that?
Oh, yes, there were the 3 of us, Starwalker, Pat, and myself, that, you know, it was just different objects called out, wanted to be placed, and you could tell by the energy whether that spot that you placed it was the correct spot or not. Because if it was the right spot, the energy was just really, you could just feel the energy emanating from it. But if it was the wrong one, you could tell that also, because the energy just seemed to be draining. And so you just tweak it a little bit and, you know, move it here, move it there, and just use intuition on where it actually needed to be placed. And just a tremendous amount of energy at the finished product, you know, once everything was placed. But I have to laugh because Starwalker's Isis statuette didn't get chosen at first, and it's like she was pick me to Pat and myself. It's pick me. So we ended up adding Isis to the grid also, and that just ramped up the energy even more. And it was a very beautiful experience. I loved it.
It's important not to,
intuition.
and it's important not to let any mental prejudices get in the way. It's really important to be totally open and just like whatever, you know, pops up. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it is also interesting that if we, okay, move on to the topic of the objects. Like I say, the objects can be anything that you hold sacred. I got a lot of my crystals at the Tucson Gem Show. And so they're all around the living room. And, you know, what we do is just sort of scan the perimeter, you know, where all the crystals and the sacred objects are, again, with the intent of like who would like to participate, or which object fits the intention of this layout. And with that, it's almost like a crystal. It will make itself known, like a little energy hand will like me, and it'll just jump out at you, and you'll know that that's what you need to get. And so it's just being really in tune. And part of it before you start the whole process is raise your vibration. Get into your own sacred space mode, as well as dedicating the location as a sacred space, doing it through, like, say, invocation, ritual, if you want to smudge, whatever is your best way of, when you ask for the location, it could be inside the house, outside the house, it can have multiple layout positioning places, one like specifically by your bed to hold the vibration for you when you do dream time, or one for maybe if you have your own set meditation room that is dedicated for that energy and that intent. And so you can have all these different types of layers or layouts or altars, each for their own purpose, and they'll each have their own specific objects that want to volunteer, or that needs to be in that special place. For example, I went to Egypt in '94 and remember living a life in ancient Egypt and worked with Thoth and Anubis a lot. And so I have these statues I got in Egypt in '94, and they're on my bookshelf. And so when it came to setting up the Egyptian altar, I mean, it was like they just totally jumped off the shelf. It was like, yeah, it's got to go. And we found that then when we would go to do the meditation or the session, that we would see their presences as living beings, like say Isis. I know specifically Pat and I think Wanda, they really see Isis grow almost life size in the living room, and the wings will go out, and to be able to actually see that with your inner intuition. And when Thoth and Anubis shows up for me, I will see Anubis as a very tall, like he's like 6-7 foot tall, very large, dominant energy of like a jackal-headed god. And Thoth will have the ibis head, or he will be in a man shape, and they will just appear in the living room. So I'm saying, when you have these sacred objects that are like the little, like if you have a wolf icon, you may feel or energetically or intuitively see wolf appear. And so they are very powerful in that energetic aspect. And the more we open into this higher consciousness that's going on now, the more we can easily tap into that and use that to pick our objects and for the layout. So can I ask, with just a show of hands, how many people have the objects with them and have an idea of a location? Can you raise your hand? Or how many have objects? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Okay, so why don't we take this time now, because if the place where the layout is, if you want to, go off screen and, intuit your objects to put them in a layout, you can do that. And we'll take like about, 7-8 minutes, something like that. But Pat, do you have anything before we have them do that?
I just want to add how important intention is, because you can do a small layout saying, well, I want to connect with my spirit animal, and have a totem for that, and something that can actually help to add on to it. Like mine is for my meditation crystal area. So my intention is, and I choose the objects, the stones that are higher vibrational stones to go in more. So yeah, I think depending upon what your intention is huge. That's all I'd like to say.
Okay, so why don't we take, just 10 minutes sound good? For people to, just like say, if your location is off where the Zoom screen is, you can just take what objects you want and go to the location, or if the location is right there with you, then just, go into your own quiet space and connect with what objects needed and start placing them. So for the next 10 minutes, this will just be on your own to work on your own special place, and we'll come back in 10 minutes and then activate it. And for the rest of us, I'm going to just X out my video because I already got my altars. If I make any more, there won't be room for me to walk in my house. So, okay, I'm going to X out for 10 minutes.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Well, hi. I can't hear you, Deb. Deb, you're muted. Okay.
Okay, gotta listen to my own advice. Okay. Yeah, just waiting for everybody to come back because they're practicing making their own altar or crystal layout. And Steve, since this is being recorded, that you can watch it again and then be able to set your own because we're leaving time for it to be done. So we just, unless you,
Already has an altar.
that's what I'm wondering.
Oh,
Or is
yeah,
this
yeah. No, I was out I had to do work today, so I just got back to the house, but I definitely have an altar that I work with.
Okay, great, great. Well, you might want to watch the replay. It's got some helpful information, if you want to create another one. So, this is also, you can continue adding to this. And now that you got the process down, but let's now just do a meditation, guided meditation to activate this layout, activate this portal, and also to what's important to merge with it is to be one with it. So let's see. Let me see if I can mute you. Okay. All right. So, like I say, we can always add to it in a bit, but let's just do a meditation with what we got right now. And if you want to just close your eyes, just tune in to your layout, what you've got so far, and if you also are going to, make a more elaborate one later, because I, didn't have a lot of time to do it, but you have the ideas. Yep, feathers are great part of it. So, okay. As we're tuned in now and tuned into our quiet inner space within, allowing yourself to go deeper into a place of peace, connecting with your divine light, and now remembering in your mind's eye and focusing upon your layout or the altar, whatever term you wish. If it's one that you've just created and can add to later if you wish, but focusing upon your sacred layout, seeing it in your mind's eye, and most importantly, feeling it. And now, just connecting one by one with each of the sacred objects that you have placed within your sacred layout, and energetically thanking each object, blessing each object, and giving gratitude for each object to be in your sacred layout. And as you do this, you also may wish to call upon your divine guidance of spiritual helpers, spirit teachers, any of your helping spirits that will work with this layout, with the altar, to be there, connecting with each of the objects, blessing them, and creating an energetic field of oneness with all the objects and your spirit helpers. And I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes while you tune in to each object, your spirit helpers, and blessing and sanctifying this special layout. And feeling your energy field merged with the energy field of your sacred layout. And in gratitude for the spirit helpers that will assist in working with this sacred layout. So now coming back to awakening consciousness, and when you're ready, opening your eyes and knowing that you can come back to add or subtract and work with this sacred layout on your own, perhaps after this video ends or at any other time, because you have the steps and the understanding. And like I say, it's good that these layouts like to be worked with. It's like when you have a sacred drum or crystal, it's like your Tibetan bowl, they like to be used. And it's a way of honoring them. And you have a very special, it's an energetic portal that you have created. And the more you work with it, the more it activates and becomes stronger and stronger, able to hold the strong energy for all your ceremonies, all your intentions. So honor it with great respect. And if there's any questions, please contact us. We'll be glad to assist if anything comes up and you need any guidance on these. Would anybody like to share of what the experience was like? If they do, you can unmute yourself and share. Well, these are very personal, and it's always good, like I say, to honor them and work with them as much as you can. Is there any questions anybody has before we sign off? Well, good. That means everybody's got it, and you have your own special sacred layout and altar portal to work with and use. And like I say, we say really use these. They are very powerful, and connecting with the spirit helpers and your objects that are creating an energy field, an energy essence. It's almost like living beings when you activate this that have to help you on your spiritual path of awakening. And so with many blessings, is there any other thing anybody wishes to say? Not even Pat. So, okay, with that then, I thank you for joining and enjoy. And please, if you want to give us feedback on your experiences with your sacred layouts, if you wish, it'd be really nice to hear that. And so I'm going to stop the recording now, and I thank you for being here.